but one friend follows. But it's easier to do that than to record it on the phone, because the phone runs out after 30 minutes.
The phone runs out.
Yeah, like it only does 30-minute recordings, and then it will go to the next clip, but then I have to edit them together, and it takes a bunch of gigabytes, and it's annoying.
Take a bunch of gigabytes.
It does.
Very technical. I take a lot of gigabytes. Oh, tell me more. How many gigabytes can you take?
And we've started there.
This is how we started the last show. Not with gigabytes, but with laughs.
How many people are going to show up during this recording?
Yeah, now that they know we're talking about how many gigabytes that you can take.
That guy from Burning Man's going to show up. Hey guys, you're talking gigabytes. Oh my god, okay. We're just going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so before we get started, I'm going to ask you a little bit about why you decided to do ketamine. Tell me if you want to boycott any of these questions, but this is what I would ideally like to ask you. Why you decided to do it, what the experience was like, and essentially the therapeutic effect that it had.
Totally.
Cool? Very basic.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I haven't talked about these types of experiences on a show in a long time.
Does that make you nervous or excited?
Neither.
Good. that makes me have no feelings.
I'm curious.
Ooh.
I'm curious.
Nice. Yeah. I think that's also your favorite feeling. I re-listened to our episode. There was lots of curious.
Curiosity rules my life.
Indeed. Hey, one person who follows it is my friend in Florida. Okay, all right. Hey everyone, Lynn Marie here. Thank you for joining us for the next episode of the Plant Medicine Podcast. I'm your host on this journey, Dr. Lynn Marie Morski. And today we have with us Michael Bledsoe for the Ketamine Patient Experience episode. Thank you for joining us, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This will be fun.
I'm glad you think so. And for everybody else out there, I just want to give you a warning. We are talking about serious subjects, but Mike and I have a very difficult time remaining serious at any point. So the fact that we are laughing is not to bring any kind of levity to the gravity of some of the conditions that we're going to be talking about treating. However, it will still, I can guarantee that they are going to enjoy your story. You're a fantastic storyteller. And so, just to set the bar really high, but you have a way of bringing serious things to light and making really good points, but with a lot of humor and levity behind it. And I think that's one of your big skills.
I like bringing levity to heavy conversations because people take things so seriously, and then there's like a fear that comes along with the seriousness, and if we can laugh at ourselves and laugh at situations, then it's a lot easier to talk about.
Significantly, absolutely. And we're talking about destigmatizing plant medicines, which means that we're going to have to talk about some of these rough things. So I appreciate that point of view. All right, if you could take us back to the thoughts you first had about deciding to use IV ketamine as a treatment.
Yeah, I had been hearing about it as from a few of my friends about the benefits of it, and they were talking about it, and they were talking about the benefits, and I go, all right, I know ketamine is used in, fields of battle. I know it's used as a tranquilizer for vets and for veterinarians, and I know that people snort it when they party.
That was the extent of your knowledge.
And I knew that if you took a high dose of it, that it could create a transcendental experience. And so I started hearing from friends talking about this IV drip version of ketamine. I go, okay, tell me more. And then they described to me how therapeutic it had been. And I go, okay. So that was all I needed to know. I am a lot of the way I approach things is out of curiosity. I've enjoyed a lot of the benefits from plant medicines and psychedelics, more so than the average person gets out of them. That's the way it seems anyway. And I think the reason is because I approach them from a place of curiosity of, okay, but also with a lot of reverence. So I have a lot of reverence for the medicines, but I'm also curious. And I find that most people are looking to fix something about themselves. There's this belief that they believe there's something broken, and so they need to fix something. And when I've witnessed people go into using different things, things like ketamine for that, they do get the thing they're looking for. They go in and they go, oh wow, I got some resolution around that thing that was bothering me. And then I also got a lot of other benefits. And for me, I noticed that from the very beginning, I've never used anything like that as to fix a problem. I don't operate from the belief that there's something wrong with me. I believe that I'm perfectly fine as I am, and how can I be even better? Like what may be lurking in the background, in the shadow, in the blind spots that I don't, things that are in the subconscious that are limiting me. And so for me, I'm curious about how can we optimize this human experience? How can I perform at a higher level as a human being, as a person who runs businesses, and for my health too. I'm very, very health conscious, and I'm always looking for how can I be healthier. And so again, approaching it was more out of curiosity of, okay, I've tried out other medicines that I went in with a lot of curiosity, and I got an immense amount of benefit out of it. And I go, well, what about this? So this is one of those that I have yet to try, and I've been hearing about it. And for some reason, I was on my way to Austin, and I decided to road trip, which I hadn't road tripped in a while. And I go, oh, I'm gonna road trip to Austin. And right before I walked out the door, I looked at my business partner and I said, hey, I'm setting the intention that I'm going to try ketamine drip while I'm in Austin. And he goes, okay. And I can't consciously say I know why I said that as I was walking out the house, or why I set that intention. It was something that came in it was as if the medicine were calling me, I guess you could say, that people say that. I've definitely had that experience with other medicines. But I was in Austin just for a few days, and I ran into somebody who was able to make that happen. And I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't going around asking. I was talking to someone. I go, what have you been up to? They go, oh, I now own a ketamine clinic. I go, huh. It's funny because three days ago I was just saying. And so that's really, my intention was to do a single session, because that was my impression of that's how you would do it, is you would try it out one time. And they told me, hey, we really suggest six treatments. And I go, okay. And now I know that to be a fairly normal protocol if you go to a ketamine clinic. And I get why now. After having done it, I go, oh, 1 would have been great. 6 is really what I needed to push all the right buttons.
Gotcha. I love what you brought up about the blind spots, because a lot of what we talk about on the show is like, okay, I went to do MDMA for PTSD. People, sure, like you said, have a thing. And I think that's very valid. Like, for sure, if you're having an issue, PTSD or depression, obviously it's great if we can use these psychedelics to bring you out of that. But there's also room for, like when you said, there's nothing, say, diagnostically wrong, but there are definitely places we could probably all level up. And we may or may not know them. And that's why I love the way you phrase it as a blind spot, because you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. Until maybe you get into that experience, and then you're like, oh, wow, I didn't even see that this could use some leveling up.
Yeah, and you can cover a lot of ground. it's really up to the person on how much they're willing to investigate in themselves. Some people, like I said, they get one thing out of it, or I'll go in and scrape up a lot and get a lot of things out of it. That's what I've noticed.
You just tend to, when you share notes afterward, you tend to feel as though you had more kind of, I don't want to say downloads, I hate that phrase, but you know, that you got more information or were able to decipher more.
I had more realizations. There was things that I got to realize, and I'll have a handful of realizations out of a single experience. And again, going back, I think it's just coming from really enjoying the process of discovery.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about what it was like when you show up for your first treatment? Was there anything you had to do to prepare ahead of time?
Yeah, I filled out a questionnaire, a pretty typical psychological survey, and asked me about, you know, how anxious I'd been feeling, if I had stress, fear. What's really interesting is when I'm filling out these surveys, it's being looked at as a dysfunction or a disorder, and truth is we all have that feeling that comes up in our chest of oh, that's anxiety or stress or fear or whatever it is we want to label it as. And so yes, I fill out the things and think, of course I experience these things. I'm a human being.
Yes.
Living in the 21st century, there's some crazy shit going on, and I have to process a lot of things that I don't think our minds were made to process. So here I am. Let's check it out. Yeah. So filling out the survey. I had a nice talk with one of the doctors, and it was pretty straightforward. That's about it.
Is there any fasting that has to go in? Is there like
they just ask you, don't eat too much before you come in. The first few hours before you come in, that was about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I recommend. I do this with a lot of things, but don't drink water for 2 or 3 hours beforehand. Because I had to pee really bad in the middle of my fourth experience.
Wow.
And I got up 10 minutes before it was supposed to end.
Oh no.
And going to the bathroom with, 125 milligrams of ketamine flowing through you is a little tough.
I can imagine.
Felt like I was like in some type of weird cartoon trying to.
Oh, wow. Wow. So speaking of, what did you experience? So you go in for your first session, they start the IV. What did you feel? What did you see?
What I thought was interesting was I was in a recliner, and they said most people watch this, it's like a 50-inch television screen, and they could play, basically Discovery Channel shit. Yeah, where you could be out in space, or you could be underwater, and they go, is there something you'd like to watch? I said, please turn that off.
Right?
Please turn that off. I'm going to close my eyes, and I put on some headphones that had binaural beats.
Oh, nice.
So, because we got a stack. And so do binaural beats, sit in a recliner in the dark, and what was funny is the nurse that was there to monitor me, because they do EKG and they're monitoring a few things. And they're like, no TV. I go, no. I'm like, okay, that's strange. Most people want to watch something. I get it, because it can be a nice little distraction. But I closed my eyes, and it was a really easy experience to let go into, because it's a tranquilizer, Yes. So whereas some other types of psychedelics, the ride in can be a little bumpy, is the way I would describe it. And this is super smooth and easy. And that was one of the things I really appreciated about the ketamine, is how easy it was, and which I think makes it more accessible.
Yeah.
Right, because people have a lot of fear around it being a difficult time, or people, I'll use the air quotes, the bad trip or whatever.
Right, or like an experience with that involves purging, or something else, or a lot of nausea.
Yeah, they actually gave me anti-nausea medication beforehand. I don't know the name of the medication. They gave it to me. I want to say they gave me something orally. It was a really small pill. You might know what it is. If you said it, I would know it. And then I think they added something to the drip for anti-nauseous. And then afterwards, they also gave me something. Because I did experience some nausea. I actually refused the medication in the first place. Because I try to take as few things as possible at the same time for reasons I think are obvious. But I ended up going home and being very nauseous. And I go, you know what, just give me that the next time. So I laid back. They started the drip, and it's a very slow, eases me in. I noticed, 5 minutes in, I go, oh, I'm pretty relaxed. And then I got to where the thoughts of the day, and by the way, I'm doing this while launching a new business. I'm launching this new business. We're in crunch mode, and so there's a lot of things happening during the day, and then at night I would go have this experience and chill out. So was that the best time to do it? Who knows? It was the perfect time for me, obviously, but what was cool was being able to see how hyperactive my mind was and how much tension I may be holding, and then being able to go in and see the opposite of that. And so as I was drifting in, I go, oh, my mind is really slowed down. That's nice. Okay, my body is a lot more at ease. Oh, this is nice. And I would say 10, 15 minutes into it, I was sliding into a very deep experience where my eyes are closed. To me, I would describe ketamine as a dark experience, in that it's not, for me, and everybody's different, but it was not a lot of bright lights. It was a lot of darker shades and shapes, and there's a lot, any visuals I had felt more like machinery in a way, versus something you'd see in nature. And there was a letting go. There was a letting go of from moment to moment, and going deeper and deeper and deeper. But it was easy. It was really, really easy because, I don't know why. But, we'll pretend I do. And I got to see deep realizations. What I really enjoyed about it was getting a peek. It really felt as though I was getting a peek into my subconscious mind, where these are the things that I don't like to think about too much, because I'm judging that part of myself. I'm judging that part of myself that I might think that, oh, I'm being egotistical or prideful or whatever. It's like, no, this is how you really think about yourself. And so my first experience was a lot about how I think about myself, and my place at the table in the world. Like who am I talking to? What kind of impact am I having? And who should I be talking to? And at what level of the game do I really want to be playing? That type of thing. So, first experience was pretty chill, I would say. They started me off with 80 milligrams. Is milligrams the right?
I think so.
Yeah, the right. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it could be in milliliters, but milliliters of milligrams have been put into a solution.
Totally. Well, milliliters is just volume of fluid.
Of the grams.
The first one was really like, oh, okay, this is really enjoyable. And they told me, well, we're gonna work you up. Next time we'll do 100, then 125, 150, 175, and maybe 200. And I did 80, and I go, if that was 80, there's no way I'm doing, 125 or 150. And so I came out of that experience. It was pretty enlightening in some ways, and I definitely had some things to consider and journal about. And yeah, it was. I would say it was a confidence boosting. The first experience was a confidence boosting.
Gotcha.
Treatment.
Yeah. And how long between sessions?
I did 2 a week for 3 weeks. So they suggested make it as close as possible as you can, but you want at least a day. You know, you don't want to do it every day. At least every other day type of thing. So, I did it twice a week. I went back in maybe 2 or 3 days later. They brought me to 100. And then the next time was 125, and then 150, and then my 5th time was 175. And at 175, at least half the experience, I was what I would call over the edge, and where I was in a black void with nothing. And there was no processing, just being in nothing. And
was there any voice in your head at that point? Like, was there any thoughts?
No, it was just nothing.
Nothing.
But I didn't have a complete lost track of time, but I also think that's just due to my experience with psychedelics in general. Like, I don't lose track of time as much as I used to in those experiences. So, I came back after that one, and they go, "How was it?" I said, "It's too much." It's too much. And they go, "Got it." Because it's not comfortable being that far over the edge. I hate calling it traumatic, but it was something where it's like, it shook me up a little bit. And so, which not a big deal, really. I mean, things shake people up all the time.
Yeah. But up until that point, so you've done, episode 1, 2, 3, 4. This was your 5th time that it's over the edge. Were 2 through 4 pretty similar to the first one?
No. Actually, I'm gonna cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do your order.
Sorry.
Go for it.
But then after I 175, I went back for my last treatment. That was one. They brought me down to 150, and that was such a beautiful experience. I came out blissful, and like a big weight had been lifted off my chest, and it was. By the time I had done the 6th one, I was so happy I'd done all 6. So it was really, really beautiful overall. There was another, my second experience. I was looking at business, which is very rare for me, and like that type of experience. I go, we'll actually look at business and money and how's the stuff flowing and all that. That was really fun. And then my 3rd treatment was what I would call it the most therapeutic. And so the 3rd treatment was around 125 milligrams. And then during that treatment, I got to grieve the death of one of my friends. He had died, one of my best friends. He had died a few years ago. And due to all sorts of circumstances and where I was at in my life, I didn't grieve properly afterwards. So, and I do a lot of things. I stay very busy. It's as if, and I understand that we need to grieve, but it's like I forgot. I did forget. I forgot to grieve. And I forgot that I even hadn't grieved. Like, it was just something I totally forgot about it. Like, I'm good. One of those situations.
Yeah.
Talk about, Chris died. And it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'm good with that. Like, I processed that. And then during the 3rd ketamine treatment, I realized I had not processed that. And it was really, really beautiful. The therapies are 60 minutes, and the last 30 minutes, about the last half, seemed like it was a lot of reliving some moments, like looking at that relationship and crying. I had a really good cry. And after the treatment was over, 60 minutes, I mean, you're still having an experience afterwards, but it's just it's not so heavy that that you're sedated. And I come out and I look at the nurse and I said, hey, I just want to talk. Can you listen? I know you're not a therapist, but And she was like, yeah, talk away. So I was telling her about my friend who had died, and so she whips out her laptop and is looking him up because he had written a few books and we'd done a bunch of podcasts together, and she looks him up and she goes, oh, he had a podcast? I said, yes. And I was like, in fact, I was on a few of those. She goes, would you like me to play you one?
Aww.
And I go, yes, please.
Aww.
And she plays an episode where it's me, him, and a couple other people. And I went right back to that moment in time. We were in Sweden. We were in Sweden doing some stuff. And hearing that audio in that moment took me back to that moment, but also took me back to a whole era. There was several years where I had where I traveled around with 3 other guys, and we did shows and we made YouTube videos and we did all sorts of shit. It was a blast. It really felt like we were in a rock band traveling the world. I remember there was a 2-year period where I was on the road 20 days of the month. So we were having fun. And I knew, I was like, this won't go on forever, and conversations were, yeah, it's going to go on forever, we're going to keep this up. And it's like, yeah, we've seen other people play this out so many times. And it didn't last forever, the band broke up, one guy died, and life goes on in a lot of ways. But yeah, having that ketamine treatment really helped me process that. And I'm telling you, it was a top 5 cry.
Wow.
Maybe top 3 as an adult. If I look at my adult life of crying like that, and it felt so good.
I love that.
It was probably the best feeling cry I've ever had. Because as I was crying, everything was coming out and it was being released. So that was a big one. That was the most therapeutic.
Yeah.
Out of all of them. And there's some other things that came up in the other treatments that were valuable for sure. Every treatment I had was super valuable. That one, I'd have to pin as the most valuable. And what was really cool about that is the days following that treatment, I started recognizing where I actually stopped being as close to other men. Where I was like, I gravitated towards hanging out with women more than men after he died. There was a lot of other things involving our relationship. We didn't end on good terms. So like he left and he died like 2 or 3 weeks after we had parted ways. So there was like a little. There's layers of this that made it more difficult. And so yeah, for there's a few years where I was like, I just don't want to like have too many male friends that are like really close. I'd rather bond with women, which is maybe really good with women, but.
This is the second time I've heard this story, and Mike has brought that up.
If I say it enough, they'll believe it.
Power of suggestion, dear female listeners. Oh my gosh. I think that's so beautiful because I think that's a great example of a blind spot, right?
There's a total blind spot. I had no idea. If you would have walked up to me and said, hey, is there anything that you have to let go or process? Has anyone died in your life that you haven't like grieved? I would have been like, nah, I'm good. Complete total blind spot. It was it was the textbook definition.
I like it. And then after that, you said on the 6th treatment you felt a burden was lifted. Was that a related burden, or was it just kind of an overall feeling that maybe doesn't have so much of a locus?
It was an overall heightened sense of well-being. I was like, wow. I came out of it giggling.
Wow.
As I was coming out, I was giggling, and I was like, oh, this is all really cool. There wasn't any. What was funny about the last treatment is there wasn't any. It was the only treatment where there wasn't a particular thing going on.
Uh-huh.
Well, and the one before that was so much time in the void, there wasn't really a particular thing there either. So the last, 5 and 6, there wasn't anything particular, but 6 was very light and easy, and it felt very, a lot of loving energy from that experience.
That's very cool. You got me thinking when you're talking about talking to the nurse afterward.
Mm-hmm.
Ketamine clinics are going to vary widely across the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
There's somewhere there's probably going to be a person there, maybe assigned to talk to you afterward, and then there are plenty where there probably aren't. Is that a thing that you would recommend, trying to make sure that even if the clinic doesn't have it, maybe you've brought somebody with you that you could talk to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Every night after I had done it, there was one or two nights I went by myself. I went for a walk or did something. I didn't feel like watching TV or anything like that. But every night I went on a walk with a friend, or I went on a walk with a friend a couple nights, my friend Mark, and then I went to the park with my friend Avery one night and just hung out by a river and talked. And then another night, my friend Valerie Valerie and Aiden picked me up one night, and we had, I don't even know what we did, but I enjoyed hanging out with them. Actually, that particular day, I really wanted to spend time. I was feeling homesick in a way.
Was that after the one where you processed your friend?
No, this was actually the fourth one. I was feeling homesick afterwards, and Valerie is one of my roommates, so and her boyfriend Aiden, so they were able to, made me feel like I was at home by hanging out with them, and they happened to be in Austin at the same time, so I was simply very fortunate that they were there. I highly recommend having a really good friend or a confidant or somebody who you can that has the patience to spend 2 or 3 hours with you afterwards, to just listen to what you have to say and be there. I really enjoyed having some conversations with people who understood what was going on too.
Yeah.
So every person I hung out with afterwards, they understood what was going on. They weren't just like, yeah, let's hang out and shoot some pool and have a beer. And
right.
No, we're going to sit down and just have a very easy conversation. And I may say some things that don't make sense, and you got to be okay with that.
Yeah. So much different from the norm, Mike. I love it. Okay, was there any other thing that you would recommend doing differently? I know you followed their protocol, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you said after the 6th one you feel like, I'm really glad I did all 6. Anything else that you would advise that you, looking back, might have changed and done a little differently, or?
Yeah, when I first talked to them, they go, I'm like, is this going to impact my work? Am I going to be able to get right back into it? They made it sound like I was going to be able to work the same day. Definitely not the case. Give yourself some space. You really give yourself some space for the rest of that day. I like doing it later at night because I could just go to bed.
Yeah.
And so I was always signing up for the last session of the day. And but give yourself some space, and I would give myself some space the next day too. Highly recommend that. That's something I did not do. If I would have had the next day to, just do whatever it is I felt like doing, I think it would have been a lot better experience.
Because the processing probably continues on a little.
Yeah,
right?
I was processing for months afterwards.
Yeah.
And I've never said this publicly, but my wife and I had just been separated for a couple of months at that point. And so there was also that. I was having a lot of emotional experiences around separation with the intent of divorce, and there's a lot of heavy emotions around that for me. And interestingly enough, I didn't process anything around that with the ketamine treatments specifically. And I was really certain that was going to happen. However, I do suspect that it was really beneficial and helped me move on. With these types of things, it's hard to put your finger on it at times, right? Because the mind is, a lot of people, I say a lot of people, I'm talking about me, years ago.
Former Mike.
I used to think that the mind was this beautiful web. Yes, everything's all connected, and it's this beautiful web, and like this is over here, and if you touch this over here, it impacts this over here. But what I found over the years is it resembles much more of a rat's nest. The predictability of the impact of changing one thing in the mind over here on everything else is really, there's no way to predict. It's unpredictable. And so, I do feel it helped me with that transition with my wife as well. But nothing in particular. The feeling I got from the experience was all is fine. And for me, it was realizing, again, I like to remind myself daily of this, is that I'm going to die one day. And none of this is going to matter. So let's have some fun.
I love it.
And, if we take every day super serious and let everything, weigh us down all the time, then, it just starts adding up to a sucky life.
This is true.
Should enjoy it.
Yes. I like how your over the edge simulated death was another little reminder to memento mori. Remember your death.
I do some strange things. I like to practice death.
Well done.
I mean, I think I'm gonna get like one shot at it. One really final one. I want to do it really well.
I like it. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you so much for sharing everything you've shared with us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Until next time, everyone. Amazing. Awesome. That was great, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever nicotine effect was perfect. Excelente.
I feel high, but I know I sound clear.
You sound clear. More CBD?
Yes.
What is it?
I'm talking about this. Yeah, you're one person in Florida watching the live stream.
Oh, that's right. We're still on.